Tipp today in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, and I hope you're having a good Monday morning wherever you are tuned in around the world. I'm Stephen Gleeson, filling in this morning for Frank Curry here on Tipp Today, and we've a very busy show in store for you today. Coming up on this morning's show, we'll hear from our sports editor Paul Carroll, who will look back at the weekend's sporting action, and we'll also hear from Deputy Michael Murphy, who will join us live in studio, and we'll get a taste of the St. Patrick's Day parades which are taking place across the county tomorrow, and I know a few of them were on over the weekend as well, and great enjoyment there at all the parades, no doubt. The Crime Prevention Officer John McCormack will have the Garda update for you as well, and that's to come a little bit later on in the show. Thomas Conway will also be here with Global News. John G. O'Dwyer will examine the history of the great St. Patrick. So we have all this and much, much more, so do stay tuned for the next 3 hours. But first this morning, Hotel Manila have given us 2 tickets to give away each day this week for the Tina Turner Tribute Act in the Hotel Manila on Sunday, April 5th. And if this wasn't enough, they've also given us an extra special prize to give away on Friday. And not only will you win 2 tickets, but you will also win a one-night dinner, bed and breakfast as well, for the fabulous Manila. So to be in with a chance to win, text now or WhatsApp Manila followed by your name, phone number and email address to 083 311 3311. That number again, 083 311 3311. So you text or WhatsApp Manila followed by your name, phone number and email to win that one night dinner and bed and breakfast for the fabulous Manila Hotel, and that's going to be taking place all this week here on Tipp Today. So busy week, I suppose, with St. Patrick's Day in particular coming tomorrow, so it is going to be a bit of a broken week for offices and things like that, but it's going to be a great week, no doubt. So hopefully the weather will play its part as well. Just before we get focused on sport, we'll have a look at the headlines here on the newspapers this morning. The Irish Times goes with Shannon not used to assist war in Iran, says the Taoiseach. And Taoiseach Micheál Martin has said that Shannon Airport is not being used to assist the US war, and the government has no evidence that weapons and supplies for the US attacks are being transported through Irish airspace. And Martin was speaking in Philadelphia yesterday during the second day of his US visit in advance of travelling to Washington DC, where he'll meet US President Donald Trump at the White House for the St. Patrick's Day ceremony. And the ongoing conflict in Iran is the backdrop for the Taoiseach's St. Patrick's Day visit to the US and his meeting with Trump. So that's the lead there on the Irish Times. And moving to the Examiner then next, Harris rules out mini budget for rising oil costs and emergency. Mini budget has been ruled out, but the government will know by the end of the month whether it needs to intervene with rising fuel and energy prices, and the price of petrol and diesel has neared or surpassed €2 per litre, and the cost of 500 litres of home heating oil has rocketed from €498 to €870 on average, which is absolutely massive in such a short space of time with all the ongoing strife across the Middle East. In London, Mr Harris said that the government is examining a range of options that could be unveiled if the situation deteriorates further, and the broader concern he has, truthfully he says, is that as I have to have as finance minister is if this goes for a long period of time, the inflationary impact of it. So a lot of worries there for everyone with the rising fuel prices. The Irish Daily Mail has a picture of Jessie Buckley on the front of it there, and all smiles from Jessie at the Oscars, and a fantastic win for Jessie Buckley, as you heard on the news there with Pat. And fantastic, she went to school in Tipperary, in Thurles, in the Ursuline, so great celebrations there, no doubt, and over the coming while as well, and no doubt she'll be back there again. And you know, paid a lot of time and respect to Thurles and the part that it played in her education and in her career choice and all that went with it. So Jessie Buckley, an Oscar winner last night. And finally, in the Irish Independent, then the headline here is: driver held every 45 minutes in a Garda blitz on drink and drugs, and a motorist was arrested on average every 45 minutes for suspected drink or drug driving in the first 3 days of An Garda Síochána's road safety crackdown for St Patrick's weekend. Gardaí confirmed 2,550 motorists were detected for speeding offences. That is serious. And in the first 42 hours of the force's holiday, a number of people were arrested, and in the first 72 hours, 93 was what the number had risen to. So that's the number of people driving under the influence of an intoxicant, alcohol or drugs. So a lot in the papers, lots more to come later on as well regarding some of those topics. But first off, we're going to have a look back at the weekend's sport, and a busy one it was too from a Tipperary point of view. And our sports editor Paul Carroll joins me on the line now. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, Stephen. How are you?
Good, keeping well here, Paul. And you were down in Waterford yesterday. Their big win for Tipp hurlers, and Liam Cahill will be very pleased with that win, because Waterford were in the driving seat for so long.
Yeah, sure, you were down there yourself, Stephen, and it probably wasn't until after the match, when you're on the field, that you realised how strong the wind was. We could see from the press box that there was a strong breeze by the way the game was playing out and the length of the puckouts and that in the first half from Billy Nolan. But when you're actually on the field, the wind was just a gale force straight down the middle of the field. So that did make it very difficult for Tipp, down 117 to 1-9 at half time, down by 8 points, but had actually done well in a sense, because Waterford probably should have been a little bit more ahead, and Tipperary kind of stayed with it and got a few points just before half time with Andrew Ormond and Stephen Tobin, John McGrath with the goal in the first half. So you knew kind of Tipper surely going to come back into it in some sense in the second half with that gale force behind them, and they started really well. Connor Stakelum got a good point straight away to start the second half, and Tipperary got on the scoreboard, got back into the game, and then got it back down to 2 points when on the 58th minute Gerard O'Connor, who came on as a substitute at half time for Joe Caesar, put one into the back of the net after good work from Jake Morris, who was really good throughout for Tipperary. So Tipp saw it out from there and got a really important win. It means Waterford are relegated from Division 1A, and Tipperary stay up and have what is on paper a dead rubber against Kilkenny next Saturday evening. In terms of it, it's not going to mean anything for relegation terms, but it is going to be, there's no such thing as a dead rubber when Tipperary and Kilkenny meet. So for Tipperary, though, some great performances around the field. Great to see Ronan Maher back in action. A first start for John McGrath this season. He finished with 1-4 and was just so good. I mentioned Jake Morris. Oisin O'Donoghue had a brilliant performance at wing back. He shows his versatility. He's one of those players you can kind of play pretty much anywhere. And Stephen Tobin, have to mention him. His first start, still just a teenager, minor in 2024, and he scored 4 points from play and worked really hard and just looked the part. And there was a huge Carrick on Shore contingent at the match, as you'd expect, against Waterford, and they gave him a real good applause as he was coming off the field. So really good to see a performance like that from a young man in Stephen Tobin. So look, it was Tipp getting back on track. We had 2 back-to-back defeats against Limerick and Cork, so this was an important result, and important again that we keep the momentum going next Saturday at 7 o'clock inside in Semple Stadium against Kilkenny, because that will be the last game before the Munster Championship in 4 weeks' time.
Fantastic. And Stephen Tobin playing senior before making his under-20s debut as well, which is a fantastic statistic, and well done to Stephen and all the Tipperary team there in a big win against Waterford. The Tipperary footballers, you know, have had an up and down campaign so far, got a couple of good results, but it wasn't to be against Wicklow yesterday as well.
Yeah, really disappointing, Stephen. Tipp were going up to Aughrim, second last round of the league in Division 4, with a real tangible chance of getting into a promotion fight on the last day. And Tipp needed results to go their way yesterday, and the way it played out, the results did go Tipperary's way. You had, first of all, on Saturday, Carlow were beaten by London. Then you had Leitrim beating Longford, so that really opened the door for Tipperary. Tipp went into this weekend in third place with Carlow and Longford ahead of them, and both of those teams losing. That opened the door for Tipperary against Wicklow in Aughrim, and Wicklow coming off a defeat to Antrim, and it just didn't happen for Tipperary whatsoever. We had this game live on Tipp FM yesterday as well, with the Tipp Waterford game at the same time, so we're bouncing back and forth. But anytime we seem to bounce up to Aughrim to Paul Jenkins and Anthony Shelley, it was just getting worse and worse for Tipperary. Seemed to start the game really poorly. It finished up 3-19 to 14 points, so a real disappointing result, because Tipp would have been going up with a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, going into that game after some good results and some brilliant performances. So there's no doubt that this is a setback. Tipp have Waterford next up on Sunday next at 1 o'clock in Thurles, and Tipp still do have an outside chance of promotion. That's how favourable the results were for Tipperary over the weekend. But there's an outside chance, and then there's an outside chance, and that's probably what Tipperary have, because they need to beat Waterford next Sunday. They probably need to win big as well, and then they need like 2 or 3 other results to go their way. So it's asking a lot, but Tipp still are in contention going into the final round. But they will feel, I'm sure, coming down the road yesterday from Aughrim, that that was a real underperformance and a real missed opportunity to get into a Division 4 final and get up to Croke Park. But all is not lost. It's Waterford next up, but as I said, they'll need a lot of things to go their way. But first up, they'll have to beat Waterford big.
Sure, and the under-20s as well, playing at the weekend, went down there by 5 points to Clare. A poor start meant that they were just behind early on, and they never really got it back after that, despite Liam Kiley from Fethard striking a good goal, Paul.
Yeah, disappointing one to start the phase 1 of the Munster Under-20 Championship. So it's a round robin with Tipp, Clare, Waterford and Limerick, and the top 2 go through to the next round, where Cork and Kerry join the championship. So Tipp versus Clare in Quilty, Kilmurray Bricken's club over in the west coast of Clare, 116 to 111 full-time score. Yeah, as you said, just a poor start for Tipperary. They actually got a 2-pointer within the first 60 seconds, but after 15 minutes they were down by 7 points, and lost the game by 5 points, so you can say that they won the rest of the game, but they just left themselves too much of a deficit to recover from. And next up for Tipp is against Limerick next Saturday in New Inn at 2 o'clock next Saturday. So that would be a must win against Limerick, and Limerick were actually beaten fairly heavily by Waterford over the weekend. So it seems to be a good group of Waterford players coming through at the under-20 grade. So this will be must win for Tipperary next Saturday in the under-20 football championship against Limerick. And just some worrying news coming out in connection to this game, Stephen, is the Clare under-20 S&C coach, Jack Boddy. There's a few articles going around in Clare media this morning that he's actually been missing since Saturday evening, last seen in the Lahinch area. So hopefully there's a positive end to that developing story there, the Clare under-20 S&C football coach. So there's a lot of appeals in West Clare on the whereabouts of him. So we hope that there's a positive conclusion to that worrying development there.
Oh, absolutely. We hope that he's found safe and well. And that just finishes the hurling and football news. But the Camogie team, they're finally trying to find their feet, I suppose, this year, and got a good draw against Cork in the league.
Yeah, this was a brilliant result. I watched this game on Saturday, but I actually only saw the second half. So from what I saw, Tipp had an unbelievable performance, because they were down by 8 points at half time against Cork, and they came back and drew the game late on thanks to a brilliantly worked Clodagh McIntyre equaliser after just brilliant play from Caoimhe McCarthy, the captain of the team, centre back, worked the ball up through the middle of the field on a solo run, played a 1-2, got it back, popped it off to Clodagh McIntyre, and she put it over the bar. But 8 points down at half-time in Páirc Uí Rinn against Cork, who have been formidable opposition to everyone in Camogie for the last few years. But it was a really good second half performance. Cueva Stakelum, again, 6th-year student in the Ursuline in Thurles, and she scored 1-2. Brilliant goal. And one of the points she got was out on the sideline, touched it, flicked it over a defender's head and put it over the bar. So she's made a huge difference since her introduction into this team. From what I saw as well, Cueva McCarthy, Mairead Evston, very solid at the back. Celine Guinan at wing back seemed to have a fine game as well from what I saw. And you get the usual incredible work rate and just battling of the likes of Roisin Howard and Clodagh McIntyre. Clodagh McIntyre had a goal chance late on as well that she just kind of mishit the ball. It would have been a big chance for Tipperary to take the lead, but I'm sure 8 points down at half-time, James Heffernan would definitely have taken a draw if it was offered to him. Tipp only actually held Cork to 2 points in the second half as well, so it was a really strong second half performance from Tipperary. But this Division 1A, the National Camogie League, is still up for grabs. Waterford have won all of their games. They're guaranteed a place in a league final, and it's a matter of who's going to join them. It could be Galway, it could be Kilkenny, it could be Cork, it could be Tipperary, but Tipperary are both looking forward to that game against Waterford next Saturday with an outside chance at promotion, but more importantly they'll be looking over their shoulders as well. Antrim are still lurking in the shadows, and if they could beat Kilkenny next Saturday, remember Antrim have beaten Cork in this league campaign so far, so they're certainly showing that they're very, very competitive. If they could beat Antrim, then Tipp would have to get a result against Waterford. Will have to beat Waterford next Saturday, so still all up in the air heading into the last round next weekend.
And good stuff too from the Tipp minor camogie team into an Ireland semi-final with an 11 points to 9 win over Limerick. And in ladies football, Angela McGuigan captained TU Dublin to a first ever O'Connor Cup victory, beating UCD 12 points to 2-4 in the final. So big moment there for Angela.
Yeah, Angela McGuigan, Schlievenoman club in South Tipperary, Tipperary senior ladies footballer. She captained, as you said, TU Dublin. The O'Connor Cup final is the biggest prize in third level higher education ladies football. So that's massive for her. She's with the St Sylvester's club up in Dublin at the minute, but a Tipperary woman true and true, and a brilliant result there for her and all the team in TU Dublin. Their first ever O'Connor Cup win, and a 2-point win over their crosstown rivals in DCU. So a big win there for TU Dublin and for Tipp's Angela McGuigan.
And big news over the weekend, Paul, in rugby. I don't know if the listeners were watching it or following it, but it was fantastic stuff from Ireland to beat Scotland 43-21. Then Wales had a big win over Italy, and it all came down to France against England, which went into the very last moments to see who would win the Six Nations in rugby. Huge excitement there.
Unbelievable, Stephen. Probably the best game of rugby I've ever watched. France 48, England 46. It swung one way, swung the other. You're kind of sitting down to watch this game, knowing that we needed England to get a result against France for Ireland to win the Six Nations. But from what we've seen from England so far in this championship, that was going to be a bit far-fetched, you would have thought. And then France get a try straight away after 3 or 4 minutes, and you're thinking, right, this isn't going to go our way at all here. And then England get a try straight away to bounce back, and it suddenly starts to build from there. And England build up a 10-point lead before half time, and France maybe possibly fortuitously awarded a penalty try just before the half. And that brought it back to 3 points, but England still in the lead, and it was going really well for an Irish point of view. The game was back and forth, and then the second half started, and straight away France go in for a try, and they go up by 3 points, and then it looked like, okay, France are going to run away with it now. And then Ollie Chesham gets an intercept try and runs the length of the field, and very stupidly, maybe, I don't know what you'd call it, didn't run under the post. He put it down out near the sideline when he really didn't need to. Made Finn Smith, the kicker's job, very difficult for the conversion, which was missed. But such excitement, and then it came down to the end. England get themselves into the lead. Ollie Chesham got a second try, and you're just thinking, if they can hold out here now, Ireland are going to win. France down to 14 men, and it was a 46-45 to England at the time, with about 90 seconds to go, and France have the ball. They're trying to get through. Then the ball is overturned. Henry Pollock wins it for England, and he tries to throw an offload. He gets turned over. France get it back. France end up winning a penalty, and you just know that when that penalty was given, that Thomas Ramos, I've barely seen the guy ever miss a kick. He's an incredible place kicker and goal kicker for France, and from just inside the halfway line, left of centre, he absolutely slots it between the posts to win the game and win the Six Nations for France in the Stade de France. So hugely exciting, Stephen. From an Ireland point of view, they had a brilliant win against Scotland earlier in the day, 43 points to 21, and it puts a real nice gloss on the Six Nations, because after the first round against France, and then even after the second round against Italy, it was a little bit doom and gloom. I would have been on with Fran talking about how we're probably not breeding in enough young lads and things like that, and with a view to the World Cup next year. But I think after the last few rounds, particularly against England in Twickenham and against Scotland last weekend, or last Saturday just gone, there's definitely a better outlook on the Ireland rugby team following the Six Nations, with loads of young players coming through. You know, we didn't see the likes of Andrew Porter, James Lowe, Mac Hansen, Hugo Keenan, a few more key players throughout this campaign, so that gave a chance for the likes of Tommy O'Brien. Jamie Osborne solidified himself in the back row. Robert Balakoon, Stuart McCluskey coming to the fore, and some brilliant performers as well off the bench, and loads of debutants as well. Edwin Adogbo, and these players getting game time. Tipperary's own Brian Gleeson involved with the squad this week as well. So suddenly things are looking much more positive for Ireland following the Six Nations.
And just finally, Ireland's under-20s won the Triple Crown. Cashel player Rob Kearney with a try. Ballinaz, Joe Finn, Ros Grays, Billy Hayes, they all featured there as well, and great weekend for those as well, Paul. And in local soccer, Peak Villa took a step closer to the title with a 5-0 win over Clonmel Celtic. So a lot of action, a lot of people locally doing very well.
Yeah, loads of excitement there over the weekend in the world of soccer, and on that under-20s. Yeah, Cashel player Rob Kearney with a try, of course, Offaly native, and Ballinaz, Joe Finn started and played that game. Ross Gray's Billy Hayes came on as well. So good Tipperary involvement in that Ireland under-20s team, who had a good campaign as well. And in the soccer, yeah, Peak Villa 5-0 victory over Clonmel Celtic, and St Michael's held up their end of the TSDL Premier League title race. They beat Cullen Latin 2-0 at home on Saturday evening. So Peak Villa have Clonmel Town to play, and they have St Michael's to play. If they win those two games, then Peak Villa will be the TSDL Premier League champions in the north of the county. In the NTNDL, really exciting title race brewing here. BT Harps closed the gap to just 1 point on Shinrone with 2 games to go. They had a 5-2 win away in Rare Cross, and in the other game over the weekend, Ballymackey 9-3 winners over Holy Cross. But in that title race, it is Shinrone top, BT Harps 1 point behind, and 3 points further back with a game in hand is Moneygall. So it's going to be an exciting finish into the NTNDL Premier Division title race, no doubt.
I'll go, and no doubt it'll be another busy week with a lot on the horizon too. Paul, many thanks for joining us here today on Tip Today.
Thanks, Stephen.
And that was
Cheers.
Paul Carroll. We're going to go to a quick break.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.